It's a pleasure to be here. It's an honor to be here, really. I really want to thank Joanna and Jessica for inviting the community colleges to be part of this regional DH consortium. Is that what we call ourselves now? Consortium? Yeah, right, yeah. And, we had a couple of great meetings last year, so I got to meet a couple of really swell guys and gals, and so I appreciate that, and I appreciate being here today. Alan's presentation this morning knocked me out. I mean, really, that was a wonderful, because I really, I'll talk to you later about this, Alan, but UCSC was, I graduated from UCSC in '75 when there were no grades, only narrative evaluations, and when College 5 was still College 5, and yeah. Anyway, we have a bit to talk about. Anyway, I came into the digital humanities in a very spurious way through teaching online. I've been teaching online for 20 years. In fact, in 1997, when I first started teaching online, I met a genius named Murray Goldberg, who invented WebCT. Before Blackboard, there was WebCT. Murray Goldberg was the Canadian guy who invented it, basically. So I had a chance to have a lunch with him and talk with him a lot. But even though I'm an experienced online teacher at this point, I feel like I'm the least qualified person to stand before you and talk about the digital humanities, because I have always been very schizophrenic about this, the value of the digital. And so that's why another reason why I appreciated Alan's presentation, because he was really clear about how the digital can connect with real life. Because too often, in my experience, the digital is an abstraction from real life and you never get back, And so for me, it's always been an effort to maintain that connection. Not only what Jerry was saying with the immense resistance of many of our colleagues who really don't want to hear about it, but also students and access and all of those things. So in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be going up to Portland to present at the CCHA conference, Community College Humanities Association. This year, it's entirely about the digital humanities, and the title of my presentation is going to be Neither Gloom and Doom nor Sweetness and Light, because I'm going to try and chart a middle course. I have been very influenced by the critics of digital technology. Perhaps you know this gentleman, Nicholas Carr. He made his reputation on an essay called Is Google Making Us Stupid? Which he then expanded to a book called The Shallows. This is his latest book called The Glass Cage, How Our Computers Are Changing Us. I'm teaching this book now in an honors freshman comp class at Mesa College, and I'm trying to raise the issues of what this can do for us exactly, and how it might be changing us. So with those qualifications, I will tell you a little bit about the project that Cheyenne and here are going to talk about. So one of the advantages for me at teaching at the community college is that I don't only have to teach composition classes. I do get to teach literature classes and creative writing classes. And so I've been teaching a British Lit survey class for some years now. And Cheyenne was in this class actually last semester. This was a project that I gave when we came to Chaucer and the Canterbury Tales. And the question is, how to make a 600-year-old work relevant to today's students.
What the hell was that? Bernadette dared me to tell a dirty story. The Miller's Tale by Chaucer is the dirtiest story I know. It would have been hidden in sock drawers if people in the 14th century had worn socks.
I thought it was pretty spicy, especially the part where he kisses her nether yaya.
You might not like it as much if you knew what nether yaya meant. Hint, if one cares about hygiene, one ought not be kissing it.
But these were possibilities that I could use perhaps to make the students be a little bit more interested in the work. But what I settled on was to give them a group extra credit assignment. One thing you can do on Blackboard or Canvas or any kind of online platform that you use is divide the students into groups and give them means of communication with each other so that they can contact each other through email, through the discussion board. And so this is what I suggested to them. Your first task as a group will come with Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales. What I want you to do is to come up with some multimedia way to introduce one of the characters of the general prologue to a contemporary audience. There are limitless possibilities here. So I'd really like you to have fun with this. In the past, some groups have written Facebook profiles for a character. Others have pretended that they're on dating sites like OkCupid or Tinder. You could be applying for a job as that character. You could have the character introduce himself or herself to a new group. But I basically just wanted to have them use their imaginations and try to come up with a way to make these 600-year-old characters relevant to today. Just a story about OkCupid. I have been doing this assignment now for 3 years. 3 years ago, a group created a dating profile on OkCupid for the wife of Bath. Fine. It was accomplished. What happened? She got hits. 10 or 12 people were really interested in this, I don't know whether that's depressing or, so here's a more current one. And so they used all various kinds of social media. Cheyenne is going to show you Instagram in just a bit. I just wanted to show you that they used Google Docs and all these dating. Can you? Probably not. So I'll just go through this briefly. Her age is who's counting. Here's her text message. Hello, I'm so glad that you have stopped to check out my page. I've had 5 marriages so far and I'm looking for lucky number 6. Many would say that it's appalling that I could be married so many times, but I just don't see the point in being miserable in a relationship or grieving after the death of a spouse. God created us to find a mate and be fruitful, which is actually a pretty clear quote from the wife of Bath's tale. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. Having fun along the way doesn't hurt, right? And then, of course, there's comments to that profile. Cheyenne, let me bring you up here. Cheyenne is now my student in a second class for the second half of this survey class. And when she was in this group last semester, she put together a profile, I suppose you could say, about the night.
Okay, so for my character, I chose the knight. We were set up in groups of about 6 people, so all of us agreed that the knight would be the most interesting. We took it a little farther than we thought we would. We were just going to post pictures of the knight and kind of show who he was, what his personality was. But then all my other group members started making profiles for the wife of Bath and for the monk and for the squire, and then we all started commenting on pictures. I was the knight, so I would post pictures, and then everyone would comment on all my pictures. So this is the knight. He's a general nowadays because he's a modern man. And he likes to post things about how he was when he was younger, about chivalry and valor and taking care of women. And the squire is his young friend who's really into women, and he hits on pretty much every girl in the Instagram page. This is him when he's younger and some of his friends. And if we keep going up, we can see Born the prioress. That's the prioress, and she's really into the knight because he's very good looking, I guess. But she's also, she's not like Bath. Bath's wife, the boy who was her profile, he kept posting things that would be considered, like one time I accidentally forgot I put an E on how instead of an O, so it said ho. And Wife's Bath had the most fun with that. And so it just kept going on like this. And our project was just to bring these characters to life with their personalities and what they like to do and how they would talk to each other. Like this picture, I'm making fun of the friar and the summoner who both have it out at each other the entire story. And the squire is, of course, saying how strong he is. And then just talking about peace and God and how everything is from the knight's point of view. This is the monk who was on the expedition with him. And this is the priest, and he said that he said he would give him a prayer, so I gave him a few because in the story he's taking money for prayers. This is posted by Bass Wife. This is the characters from the Canterbury Tales. They're on their journey. He's looking back at his journey and saying, "Oh, I miss all you guys." This is him in the army. More army pictures. He believes that chivalry should still be a thing, so he's very adamant about all those things. And God, as he is in the Chaucer's tale. There's also in the quotes and in the comments and in the descriptions, there's a lot of quotes that we included in the language that they would have used then. I don't see one now, but they're there somewhere. This one is Chaucer. He's commenting on how this guy would had thoughts on all their stories that they were telling while they were on their travels. Chaucer. And it just goes on like this. It took us about a week to post all these pictures and to really get into it. But once you're finished with the whole project, you realize that you understand every character and you really had to dive deep without even thinking about it because you wanted to create a person on Instagram that people my age could understand. So with every character, we're supposed to do one, but we did it with every character because we kind of got excited.
And this is one that I'm fond of because nobody ever talks about the Doctor. I mean, the Doctor has a tale that's not anthologized in any textbook, but somehow this group found them. So this is their portrait of the Doctor, a specialist in medical astrology and cosmetic surgery. Are you feeling down? Let the cosmos guide you to perfect health. With years of experience under his belt, the Doctor is an expert in the use of cosmic and astrological influences to improve patients' health and quality of life. So besides liposuction and tummy tuck, there's spiritual healing and bloodletting, in which I found really one of the points that was important to me about this whole project. And this is from an essay about the Canterbury Tales from a gentleman named Lee Patterson. So the point, or one of them, is this. When Chaucer introduces the various characters in the prologue, the last group includes the so-called untrustworthy servants, including the miller, but also a summoner and a pardoner, also a monciple, and myself. There were no more. In other words, he includes himself among the rogues, and by so doing makes a pretty funny reference to the beginning of Dante's Divine Comedy, when Dante meets the famous poets of Limbo and includes himself among them. And he does so, Chaucer does so, not because he's a thief or some kind of untrustworthy servant himself. Rather, by beginning the Canterbury Tales with the knight and miller, Chaucer makes a clear statement that he is writing no longer from within the world in which he had for all his life served. On the contrary, he is now standing outside that world as an independent and by no means uncritical observer. He is not an untrustworthy servant, like the miller, reeve, manciple, summoner, and pardoner. His position is even more radical. He is a servant, no more. And I think, we talk a lot about critical thinking in colleges and universities. And part of that is becoming an independent and by no means uncritical observer. And I think that if we make our students use what they know to learn what they can learn, they too become uh, independent and have the possibility of being servants no more. So thank you.